everyone. Welcome to Appliance Advisers with Yale Appliance. My name is Francesco, joined as always by Dennis. How you doing this week, Dennis?
Doing great, Fran. How about you, pal?
Very good, very good. I'm very excited for this week. We have our dive deep topic this week is going to be on microwaves. Now, I know, everyone thinks microwaves. Like, well, how much is there to talk about? But surprisingly, there are so many different types of ways you can install microwaves, different styles of microwaves. Some of the features that really you should be looking for. So we really kind of want to dive deep because it is one of those categories that sometimes kind of gets overlooked, or kind of people are trying to squeeze them in last minute somewhere. Some people love them, some people hate them. So a little bit of one of those topics there that, there is a lot to kind of talk about when it comes to microwaves. So to kind of start, there's a lot of different types of microwaves. And really the ones that we're going to get into today are countertop microwaves, built-in microwaves that you see with a trim kit, over the range microwaves that go over the range, a microwave drawer built in, pull down microwave doors that are kind of built into a wall that looks similar to a wall oven, and then combination microwave ovens that have really become really super popular over the last few years, especially. And that's where you see, as opposed to a double oven, you're going to have the speed oven microwave up top with a full-size single wall oven underneath. So really we're going to go through all those different styles, give you some tips there, some talk about installation and some things to look for there. And, really when it comes to features, there's not a lot of different features to kind of compare necessarily side by side with different brands and things like that. But one of the big ones that there is going to be really standard microwave versus a convection microwave. And that's definitely something that, we get questions about. What does that mean? How important is a convection microwave? Can you talk a little bit, Dennis, just kind of to lead us off, what are the differences between a standard and a convection microwave, and what does that even mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great segue and a good question. I mean, I think let's answer the overarching question, which we get a lot of times, is what's the best brand, or is there a brand that's better than the next? And I always answer that to say, absolutely not. There's only a couple of producers in the world. And any of the brands, and that's Sharp is the major producer of all microwaves today. There are a few other producers, but 99% are made by Sharp. So when you hear major brands that brands like GE, Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Wolf, or any of the fancier brands, Thermador and whatnot, they're not making microwaves. They're having Sharp make them for them in most cases. So I would say for a lot of people, a microwave's a microwave, and now we can talk about just functionally how they vary. And that leads me into the standard microwave versus the convection microwave. Mm-hmm. So a standard microwave is just radiating heat, from the top down, and just using microwave technology and just a turntable to move it around. And the complaints with standard microwaves forever was food was kind of chewy, right? And it was kind of dry. It really removes a lot of the moisture out of the food. You're basically cooking your food a second time, and it wasn't replicating an oven. So really, people in a standard microwave, more often than not, used it for the basic things like reheating, maybe a cup of coffee, reheating vegetables, a mixed plate of food, that type of thing, but not really cooking in it. We all tried way back when these things first came out, but more people aren't cooking in a microwave. Maybe the defrosting. Then came convection microwaves. It took what standard microwaves always did, regular microwave heating from the top. It added a broil element and then a convection fan at the rear of the microwave. And it's using all multiple types. So it varies where the heat source is coming from. So it uses the broil element, the convection fan, as well as microwave heat, magnetron using microwave heat, and really pushing that air around. And what that got you was slightly better browned results, cooked more like an oven. And many times it was a lot easier to use. So when you'd set it on, you'd think about it like an actual oven. You'd have a temperature degree. You could set it to 350, 375, 425. As well, just reheat food, pop popcorn, steam vegetables like you did with the traditional microwave. Now, for the longest time, that cost a lot of money to upgrade from a basic microwave to a convection. But when we look at microwaves as an overarching category, 25 years ago, when microwaves were first starting to be introduced, they were $600-$700 back then. And now microwaves can be purchased today for $200-$300 in a lot of cases. And to get convection to upgrade to that next feature, you might be spending $75-$100 more. So, when people ask me today, what would I pick, standard convection I mean, a standard microwave or a convection microwave, I would say, you know what? 90% of the time, we just need it for reheating. But for the few holidays a year that maybe you do need just a little more space to try to do something more like an oven, for the small difference in money, it may be a strong consideration to get the convection feature. Some people end up finding out they really do like it, but that's kind of the difference between standard and convection, the pros and cons, and also the cost differences today.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it definitely gives you that flexibility and a little kind of, it's not necessarily a full second oven, but in kitchens where it's hard or difficult to find the room to put a second oven, does give you a little bit of that flexibility. And even personally speaking, with a home with young kids or things like that, to be able to maybe cook even like frozen things like chicken nuggets and French fries and things like that, it does work really, really well. And it gives you kind of almost like having, not a full second oven, but it gives you some of that flexibility to be able to use your regular oven maybe for something else and to be able to cook some of those other things in that convection oven. And like you said, it's a lot of times for the cost difference, it is well worth it.
So, yeah, and Fran, not to cut you off there, I'm just looking at one of the questions from Nace Boyer. He just bought a Panasonic. Panasonic is one of the other few producers of microwaves. They don't make many built-in microwaves. They don't make really over-the-range microwaves. They make a lot of the countertop microwaves. And more often, more and more people have built a cubby for those, which we'll talk about the pros and cons of actually building a cubby versus actually truly building it in. It's not technically approved to put it surrounded by wood if it doesn't have an actual approved specification to do that, which Panasonic generally does not. But yeah, Panasonic does have a 4-in-1. The point by Jason was that he likes convection, similar to Sharp has those convection features, as do a lot of the brands. GE, I mean, again, made by Sharp. But yeah, convection is a great feature. So I just saw that and wanted to.
Yeah, good segue. So we'll talk about really kind of the first thing we'll talk about is just your standard everyday countertop microwave. And we still definitely see, some kitchens that just kind of go this way. Now, talk about this a little bit, the installation, where people typically install these and things like that.
Yeah, so there's really two applications. Well, there's a few actually. Countertop is really intended for countertop. In the 90s, we would build or order. They started to come out with trims, 90s into the 2000s, where there was to be a metal trim, and basically, in every brand varied slightly. In a lot of cases, it did two things. It keeps it's a protective keeps the heat of the microwave up off the cabinet. Here's a picture of one. So in this case, you'd actually see almost like a shelf if you were to remove this. That's made of stainless steel that the microwave is sitting on, and then it's protecting the cabinets around it because these do give off heat. Mm-hmm. And when you when you order the actual matching trim that is made for the microwave, two things happen. It's an approved UL listed application at that point, right? So it's making sure that it has the clearances around the combustible surface, be it your cabinets, to work with the trim kit made for it. You'll find a lot of people that make aftermarket trim kits online. Folks, that's fine. You can get it done. You run the risk if there were ever a fire and they tied it back to that microwave, you could have some issues there. So I just tell people those third-party companies that can work with sheet metal and maybe make it look okay in your cabinets, you got to be very careful that you're protected from a homeowner's liability, situation. But this is one application. So this is truly this here is actually a GE microwave called a PEM 31. It's made to sit in three applications. It can go on the counter. It can be built here, which is a 27-inch trim kit. So the unit itself is just shy of 24 inches, and it only offers a 27-inch trim kit in the GE. And then as well, there is a hanging kit for this. Some people truly will hang this at the very bottom of their cabinets. Now, don't confuse that with an over-the-range microwave. Just literally hang it to the bottom of your cabinet. This does not have lights, does not have a fan in that application, but it does get it up off the counter, and that's what some people want. So it's also a third application you can do. When you're looking at this application, more often than not, microwaves are 24 inches. Well, they can vary in size. From 20 to 24 inches is more standard, but the trim kits that they offer, some brands only offer a couple of sizes. It varies, but generally they come in increments of 24, 27, and 30 inches wide. And why they do that is because that is the standard increments cabinets are generally ordered in 3-inch increments, 24, 27, or 30. So again, we're happen to be looking at a GE. It only offers a 27, but there's a lot of brands where that one microwave will offer it 3 different sizes. Okay. Why more and more people are opting away from some of these styles is that in this cubby today, this GE has been out forever. But if someone built a customized space like you see here with this trim kit, there's nothing to say if that thing died that there would be another microwave and trim kit that would fit into that hole easily. You know, they all vary brand to brand. So a Panasonic will be different than a Sharp, will be different than the Wolf that was made, then will be different from this GE. So it's not always exactly perfect. Now, truth be told, microwaves generally last a long time, but you know, it's actually a PEM 31, Jason. He's up there answering some questions. But the point is true that, you know, this microwave, you know, in this case, it really only has a 27-inch oven. So if you built everything else around, trim kit, so if you built everything else around it, you may be landlocked when this thing dies to have a harder time fitting one. But this is kind of a trend you're not seeing as often. 1 out of 100 microwaves we sell today will actually be built this way.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to talk about the other styles that are available today.
Yeah, and then like you said, you know, here you kind of see it built in more above and on the wall, but a lot of times you'll see these, and at least not so much today, but previously, you know, people build those under counter. And, you know, it can be difficult when you're bending down low and kind of getting down there to open the microwave like a true microwave door. That way, you know, in a little bit, we'll talk about microwave drawers and really kind of why that's somewhat replaced this almost. So, you know, we're going to kind of talk about that and the reasonings why those are better installation types, even in those areas too. So that's, you know, you definitely kind of see that style kind of going away a bit. You know, you definitely get those replacements. And like you said, we deal with the replacements all the time. And it certainly isn't always easy to find something that's just going to kind of come out and fit right in without doing some modifications. And, you know, customers definitely get surprised by that sometimes too. So definitely not a one size fits all when it comes to built-in microwaves. So the next style we're going to talk about today is going to be over the range microwaves.
Okay. Yeah. So over the range microwaves, one of the most, still common applications. This served the purpose of being a lot of things for you. So people that had smaller spaces absolutely needed a microwave. This was your light source above your stove. It had the ability to be a fan of sorts and also a cooking product. Now, again, we talked about all the categories we're going to mention from this point forward still have the options to be ordered standard microwave heating or convection microwave heating. So understand that these are options. So in an over-the-range microwave, you would have that choice in most cases, in most brands, to go either or. But I mean, this does everything just okay. But it's a ton of people do it. I mean, certainly, because not everyone has a kitchen space able to fit a microwave maybe built in one location and still have a hood fan. And, you know, they're trying to accomplish a lot of things with kitchens. So it's a fine application, but we want to just remind people of a couple things. Let's talk about the lighting first. A very important feature to think about when doing any over-the-range microwave, super important. And it's important because today, the standard for under cabinet lighting, so all those upper cabinets to the left and right of this microwave, more often today, the industry trend is to do what's called 3,000 Kelvin. That's the color temperature of the light. And that's lighting that would most replicate natural sunlight. So what we would call task lighting that you'd be able to chop vegetables on and see the food cleanly and read and so on and so forth. That's what 99% of high quality or even basic quality under cabinet lights are using. When you get to the microwave, this is kind of an antiquated category in the respect of many of the manufacturers haven't really focused on the lighting. Yeah. A few have, a couple of here and there, but some of them are still using halogen lighting. I've seen some people have incandescent lights still. And what does that mean to you? That means that yellow light. So if anyone that owns this, I want you to step back, or if you're shopping for one and you're looking in the store, pay attention to the color of the lights. There's nothing worse than a brand new kitchen that has great under cabinet lighting, 3,000 Kelvin like we talked about. And you have this great continual line of lighting, and then it gets to the microwave. The center, generally a central point, because that stove and microwave become a very visual piece. And all of a sudden now it's yellow or it's dark, and then it gets nice crisp lighting again. So there are brands out there. Becco's made one recently that has great LED under cabinet lighting, more like 3,000 Kelvin, trying to tie that in. So when you look across that countertop, everything looks nice and clean and consistent. LG has some models. GE has come out with a few models recently where they've really paid attention to some of that lighting. Okay, so You're not paying more for that. You're just now aware of it. And I want you to look at that when you're actually buying it. So lighting, I think, is very important because it's super visual.
Yeah, that's great. And then, really one of the questions, the more common questions when people are shopping for over the range microwaves is the vent and the fan, just like you said. And the question we get a lot is like, what's the most powerful venting I can get with an over the range microwave?
So this question we get all the time because venting is important. I hate the question. In microwaves, because honestly, so we're getting back to what they call CFM. We've touched on this in a venting episode just last week or 2 weeks ago that we did. But it's cubic feet per minute, or the suction, if you will, of a fan. And there's two ways to use a microwave. Now, the over-the-range microwave has everything going against it, okay? When it's truly installed above a cooking surface, it's generally somewhere to spec between 16 to 16 and a half, around 16 inches off your stovetop. I want you to think about that because most stock pots, if you were boiling pasta, are 12 inches tall themselves. So you have a small gap of only 4 or 5 inches. Well, when that smoke and steam is hitting that over-the-range microwave, the microwave, think about the bottom of it. It's totally flat. So smoke isn't going to be caught anywhere while that fan is trying to catch up and suck it out of the kitchen. It's flat and it's pushed back. Think about it. It's not close to the front of your cooking surface.
Right.
And more often than not, Monday through Friday, you're cooking on your front 2 burners. So let's recap. We have something that's low. Smoke hits it very quickly. It doesn't have any time to take it out of the house. And then beyond that, it's pushed further back, and you generally cook on the front 2 burners. And it's low. So the smoke doesn't get sucked back to it. Now, that's issue 1. Issue 2 is the actual suction, that CFM word we used earlier, cubic feet per minute. They're not very powerful. Okay. And I would always tell people never buy one. Someone will say, well, I researched online and GE has one that's 380 CFM. And I found this brand over here that's 410 CFM. The difference is negligible. It is not a buying difference. It is a marketing difference. And truth be told, I don't even trust that there is a little man that really tests and calibrates these things. I get too nervous that it's all marketing spin and it's the same microwave and they're trying to do exactly what you're doing, which is get in your mind to ask you the question. It is not a buying decision. There is not a better one for venting. The question becomes all the other things, the lighting, maybe if it's convection or not, the aesthetic, the controls, how easy they are to use. That would be why you'd buy one versus the other. The final thing is these vents can vent 2 ways. So they can vent out of your house, truly through a duct to the outside of the house, or they can recirculate. So the first question is, how well do they vent? We already said they're not great vents. They're low, they're flat, and they're pushed back. So is it worth, the next question is, so does it make sense for me still, though? I know it's better to push the heat and smoke outside of the house. Does it make sense for me to pay the money to my contractor to run a vent and connect it and cut a hole in the outside of the house and vent it? The answer there is yes, if it's a very short duct run without a lot of turns to get through joists and past beams and whatnot to the outside of the house. And by short, I'm talking 3, 4 feet, 5 feet kind of thing.
Yeah, straight out.
If you tell me you're going even 5 feet and tell me you have to take 2 90-degree turns to get there, do not spend the money. Don't waste your time because it just won't do it. You'll have wasted money in a contractor installing it, but your result will be poor. Okay. So again, it makes sense to run ductwork if it's a short, straight duct run. If you're taking lots of turns, don't do it. You have the right idea, but the product you're putting above it will not be able to push the air. The next option then for those folks say, okay, I still need the microwave above and I have a really far duct run, or I can't vent it out of the house at all. It's not even an option. I'm on a brick wall. I'm on an inside wall. There's a million reasons. Well, for those people, this same microwave, the blower in the top can be spun and be what's called a recirculating microwave. And all that means is it's going to take the heat up, and you'll see there's vent fans somewhere on this where that heat is going to be pushed back into the space. We didn't remove the heat. But the recirculating fan is hoping that the filters that are in that flat bottom of the microwave can catch some of the smoke, grease, and heat. Okay? They come when you, and that is okay. It doesn't, remember, this is only an okay vent either way. But for those people that have it, many people say, well, that's what I have today and it doesn't work. And I can tell you why it doesn't work. Because I bet you when you take down your filters, those little metal things you see up there, and you might say to me, I clean them all the time. That's great. But when you take down the metal filter, you know what else you should be taking down? A charcoal filter right above it. That is what recirculating filters are made for. And you could have a brand new home, and if your contractor installed it, 99% of the time they're thrown out. They don't look like anything more than a thin piece of carbon, but they are truly what will catch your smoke and grease. They need to be changed every 3 to 6 months, depending on how often you cook. So if you're somebody that is hating your over-the-range microwave today that you have, thinking about a new kitchen and saying, well, my recirculating microwave doesn't work, it's true, it's not a perfect fan. But if it doesn't have the parts it needs to even do anything, which is that carbon filter, and you haven't replaced it, or if what I'm talking about right now sounds Greek to you, and you're like, I have no idea what he's even saying, well, then you've never used one. It doesn't stand a shot in heck of ever working. So recirculating filters require maintenance. It's simple, but you gotta buy the new charcoal filters 3 to 6 months and change them and check them often.
Yeah, it's kind of like a water filter. Eventually that's going to get all clogged up and nothing's flowing through there. So you're venting, but it's not going anywhere. It's really doing nothing.
Every time I say that to a homeowner, they have an aha moment. They're like, what? Huh? What? Oh, my. Wow. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so give it a fighting chance is all.
Yeah, exactly. So the next question when it comes to these is another one I'm sure you're going to love is we get this one occasionally, wattage. Talk to me about wattage and how important is that?
Yeah. It's not very important. So we would tell people when they ask that. I mean, a lot of times people, listen, these are decisions that they're not ignorant questions. They're questions you are looking at cut sheets, and marketers from these manufacturers know to put that on you. The difference between a 1,000-watt microwave and a 1,300-watt microwave in the grand scheme of boiling a cup of water may be 3 seconds. Now, your life's busy. I'm sure whoever I'm talking to, your life's busy. But is it 3 seconds too busy? I mean, we're not talking, wow, I got to wait even a minute. I even have to wait 30 seconds. We're talking the difference of, again, it's a marketing difference, not a buying difference. Okay, so don't be misled by wattage. Most every microwave today, 1,000 watts, whether it's 950 or 1,200, but 1,000 is kind of an industry average power wattage. Some go slightly more, some go slightly less. But I still don't think in the grand scheme of anything you're doing in that microwave, it's a buying decision difference.
All right. So that I think that's a lot on over-the-range microwaves. That was great. And
but it covers a lot of microwaves. These things we talk about wattage means the same if we're looking at draw microwaves as we're looking for combi microwaves. It's very similar concepts. So I appreciate everyone allowing me to kind of talk on that.
So the next application we're going to talk about, really over the last handful of years, what has kind of really replaced the built-in microwave is microwave drawers. So talk to me about those and why they've become so popular.
Yeah, well, so because, open floor plans, right? We've removed walls in homes for a lot of reasons, great reasons. We want to entertain. We want to get rid of we want to get rid of the island in the middle of the kitchen. So by doing that, these microwave drawers were great because we have less upper cabinets to build those built-in style microwaves we showed initially. And those big, deep upper cabinets that would be required to house a microwave built in, they're valuable when they're up high. You don't have enough of them in anyone's kitchen. So the idea of keeping it low, and let's be honest, microwaves aren't attractive. We don't love the look of any of them. So by putting it low, out of eyesight made sense. The fact that it's below counter, we generally have more cabinets down below that are deeper. And now we've introduced islands everywhere. So a great application for it as well in an island. So that's been the trend. As well, what do we know? If you had a microwave that's built up high, I'm hoping everyone can see me here, but you have to reach up to get something hot, boiling water, and pull it down. Mm-hmm. There's the amount of burns that have happened to small children, adults. I mean, there's just a lot that can go wrong. We're moving high food. It's a lot easier to lift it up gently below counter at waist height than it is to take something from up top. So there were a lot of reasons why. Now, microwave draws, and I say sharp, it's a Freudian slip because every microwave draw is built by Sharp, period. I don't care if you bought a Wolf and you spent $2,300, or if you bought a Beko, or if you bought a Sharp, or you bought a Viking, or I don't care what brand it is, know that you just bought a Sharp microwave, okay? So why would anyone not just buy Sharp microwaves? They're fine microwaves. They're good microwaves. There are some differences still, though. Why you'd buy one microwave draw versus the next? a bunch of reasons in no particular order. Okay. But some would be the actual displays, the buttons you press. Are they plastic or are they etched in the glass? I like things that are etched in the glass because they don't wear down over time. Microwaves last a long time. Microwave draws have a very low rate of repair, which was so counterintuitive to me, but they've been out so long and we're such a big servicer of these things. We were so nervous these things when they first came out. We said, wow, a lot of moving parts. There's a draw here. Holy smokes. They don't break often at all. Okay. No more than a regular microwave. They're really pretty well made. Second to that, these buttons, so they're going to last a while. So those buttons are going to be around. And there's a lot of them made with plastic. Okay. So when you press on them, they can crack. The plastic can crack over time. A lot of them have movable flaps that open. I don't like that. Again, that's more things to break. You got to break. They don't feel great even when you try them. So I like more of the flat control in the front set behind glass. Mm-hmm. Aesthetics. A lot of people, it does come down to visual. Okay. And it comes down to what do you like the look of? Will it integrate? Less is more. You might not want to see all the names on it. After that, there are slight variations within an inch of height of a microwave, internal height that a travel mug or a mug might fit into when you're reheating. So those might be a buying decision. Mm-hmm. But other than that, not a major. Now, Sharp does make, and by the way, Sharp is not the most common microwave draw we sell. We're actually, the picture here, we're looking at the number one we sell, which is a brand called Beko, which we sell. And the reason why is because we put a 5-year warranty behind it. We love it because it's price, it's value, it's set behind glass. It can be installed flush. You see how this is installed here? Many of the Sharps, not all of them, there are a couple that can, but many of the brands microwave draws that are out there have a flange around them and do not allow them to be flush installed and look nice and clean. They actually stick out proud of your cabinets. That is a reason I think to buy, make it look as nice as it can. But beyond that, this has a 5-year warranty backed by us. It's our 5-year warranty, but we like it for that reason. We can offer that for the price, the value, we like it. We know they're all Sharps. So can you get something that's reasonably priced with a great warranty? That's a Beko for us. Now, the next way for that is Sharp does make a convection microwave draw, which we love. Came out just as COVID was coming out. So it came out, we sold them like crazy. We were all excited. And unfortunately, it's been a casualty of COVID in terms of production because it didn't have enough scale to be made and it has more components. It is still available. It is going to be available again. It will come out. And I think it's a great consideration. So for a lot of people, I would tell you, we love this Beko draw that you see right here because I think it offers more value than any piece if you're doing a traditional microwave draw. If you wanted something different or we're going to pay more, then I think it makes a heck of a lot of sense to consider the Sharp convection microwave draw because it is doing something different as we've talked about convection. Now, when you do the Sharp convection microwave draw, the one caveat everyone needs to know, it is certainly much taller. So it is bigger, okay? Top to bottom bigger. So you need to pay attention to that. It's not just plug and play. Second to all of that, I would say is people ask about the sizes of microwave draws. The standard is 24 inches, okay? There are brands that make 27 and 30-inch microwave draws. You should never buy a 27 or 30-inch microwave draw if your reason for doing that is I want a bigger microwave draw because they are not 1 inch bigger internally. The actual cooking surface is the same. It's just the fascia, the exterior. So why would they make them? They do have a place when someone may have a bank of 27 or 30-inch cabinets, and they might be trying to tie it close to, for visual reasons or aesthetic reasons would be the only reason why. Otherwise, 24 inches seems to be the most common, and you'd want the smallest microwave because if you're not getting a bigger cooking interior space, wouldn't you want more cabinets to the left and right of it, right? So don't waste extra cabinets if you're not getting anything bigger in the microwave draw itself.
All right, awesome. And then the next category really is pull-down door microwaves. Now, these are kind of, obviously, looks very similar, can be installed very similar to a wall oven. And these you can get a couple different ways. You can get them just like a regular microwave or what they call a speed oven. So we can talk a little bit about those differences there too.
Yeah, so this has been very popular, this
Mhm.
style, because this was, remember, we went back to that first one where we showed where you bought a trim. And I think it was Jason was talking about a Panasonic that he had
Yeah.
put in where he had put a trim around his. It's great, but it requires really, they're finicky. Even when they go in many times, I'll be honest, and we have a few in display, it's a dying style. So there's not as many options to begin with. But of the ones that are out there, they're finicky. I'll tell you, over the years, the trims tend to pull away. There's not much to this trim, and it's kind of just screwed into the side cabinet. So it can be finicky. This is a very clean application. If that door were closed, it looks like a wall oven. It's a clean pull down wall oven. So we've seen an awful lot of these. We'll talk about the next category when we move forward, where they actually take this style, and that's that combi type of speed microwave oven we talk about.
Yeah, and we
But
can
this
show
is
that.
this is a popular style, and this is the combination style that you see here. Okay, where we really took that single one and we just bolted it on to an oven, but all used with one control panel up top. So it really did two things. It's your microwave and your wall oven in one. It can be a combination where it's truly just a microwave oven. More often than not, they're always convection ovens. So they'll generally many times have a convection option, because this is certainly when it's all one unit, a more refined installation, I guess you'd say. So more often people would if they're going to spend the money for that, and they'd want it. And generally, the question becomes by a lot of people, is it less expensive to do a single wall oven with a pull down microwave separately? No, it's probably about the same, and in most cases, maybe a little less to do an all in one. The next question would be, well, and I will tell you, I was on this wall. I stood on this fence for a long time where I disliked this style for a lot of years. Do you know why? Because for customers, I got nervous, and I'd say, wow, if you have issues with the control panel here, well, then your microwave and your oven you're out of service with. If you had two separate units and you needed to replace one or the other, then it kind of made sense to me that you could replace one or the other, where in this case, you have an issue with the whole thing. You have an issue, right? But I'll tell you honestly, the service doesn't support that. Our service, Intel, and records don't support that you have any more service with one than the other. So I do like this application, and since that time, this is a driving style. It's one of the number one styles people want because it accomplishes a lot in one space. Hard to get in COVID, honestly, amongst many brands. There are some brands that have it, but this is a great application. I know Nate has asked a question. Other people, then the question would be, well, what about that same application or that pull down single oven where it's actually a speed oven? Okay, in those speed oven applications, it's a great application, and it's kind of like that convection. It's taking convection to the next level. Zero, and convection microwave is the same thing. Zero preheat time, very very fast, controllable to 250, 450, 275. It bakes and convection bakes just like an oven. So you can bake bread, you can bake cookies, you can roast in there. I mean, it really is a second oven and still a microwave. So it does a lot of things well because it's using all those types of cooking elements, broil elements, convection fan, and intermittently using it throughout to make it much, much faster. Nate asked about volt difference. There's a 120 versus a 240. I am a big fan of a 120 volt. One, because it costs you a lot less expense in putting it in. 240 volt is very restricted across brands. Not every brand has a 240 volt. If you do an all-in-one unit, you're gonna be 240 volt, by the way. But the single units, if that's what I think that has to be the question Nate's asking. On the single units, there are certain brands that do a 120 and a 240 volt, but the 240 volt interface, user interface in certain brands is much more technical to use, not quite as intuitive. Just saying, 250, 375, 450 is a cooking temp. Many times it's starting to ask you now, how much do you want the upper wattage to be? Do you want it at level 10 and the low? So, you know what? Listen, we're not engineers, everyone. We don't need to be. We want to cook and get out and enjoy the rest of our lives, right? And if you enjoy cooking, awesome. You still want it to be easy and simple. because your recipes don't offer you, hey, upper level 10, lower level 5. If you're the type that wants to play all day in this kitchen for the rest of your life and figure that out, amazing. You'll probably be great at it. Works fine, but they're not as intuitive as a lot of the 120s. So that's not across every model, but there's a few particularly that I think about.
Anything to cooking times you think with that, with the 120 versus 240, or like a preheat or anything like that?
Slightly. I mean, most of these speed ovens have almost zero preheat time. So I don't even worry about preheat time with these types of things. Slight in the cooking, but slight. Again, folks, you're talking the difference of a couple of minutes, and then you got to think of a lot of things. It sounds simple. Like it just sounds like a choice, and it is. But can your electrical panel handle the 240 load? Yeah. The cost of wire right now in COVID is 2 times, and it is not cheap to run a 220 line versus a 120 line. So my point again is, if you're talking for 99% of everything you're going to cook every single day, not noticing a difference, and paying a lot of money in upgrading your whole electrical service or the power to run it, you just need to consider those things. Not to mention the cost of the unit is going to be more. So, I just think, listen, as Americans, here's what I think. We want the biggest and best. We want the SUV of everything. But at a certain point, we use so few of those features when we do it. I just try to be realistic about if it's truly going to be a buying decision for you. And that we just want to educate so that it ends up being your decision. But you need to, beyond the unit, realize all potentially some of the hidden pitfalls that you didn't consider when you bought the unit. We sell them a lot of times. We deliver them to a home, and a homeowner gets sold, and a salesperson has this question, but the homeowner doesn't think of these things. Anything's possible, right? It only takes money. But then they realize it's actually a real issue. They're in a condo, and the condo association won't allow for a 200 amp service. Mm-hmm. Or to get the wire there, they can do it. They got to jackhammer through about 65 feet of beams. And,
especially in the city.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. And maybe it's because we work in Boston.
Right, sure. A
lot of this infrastructure issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's everything on the microwaves. Who would have thought there'd be so much to talk about when it comes to microwaves?
Listen, the point is this. I mean, this is a takeaway, but we're appliance nerds, and we are super intense about this stuff because you don't do your kitchens often. And Nate asks great questions because he's thinking about all these things. And you deserve to be talking to people that know about these things and hopefully aren't just selling you, because truthfully, if I wanted to answer that as a salesperson, I'd say, yeah, do the 240 volt. I probably made another $600-700 in a sale. You bought the latest and greatest. I got you, and I tell you all these fancy things, but I'm going to tell you we go down to the minutia of the model. But, you want to be in stores where they can do this. If they can't do this and you got to do your own research, then why the heck are you buying in that store? Find another store with a sales professional that can do that for you. Because that's really our role. Selling appliances is easy, but educating to them is everything so that you make good quality decisions, because you're already on the web. You're researching this stuff anyways. And that's part of the problem too, right? Where the web has paralyzed people. I talk to them about their kitchens. They're still talking about them 7 years later because they've heard this great thing's going to come out. Well, yeah. I'm famous for buying the 2022 car model, and I find out 3 months later it's a new model. But guess what? I still got to drive to work every day, so I kind of need a new car, right? So
I keep waiting for what's coming out.
I think this, as long as you're educated and you stop some of the marketing hype, and I say this every time. I say to our customers, do not come in here. You should have a list. Do not look at models first. Do not start Googling websites. Start making a list of what is important to you. How do you cook? How do you want to truly cook? What is important to you? What's worth it to you to spend money on? Things like that. That would be important. I do have to answer this, okay? Somebody asked earlier. I'll answer these because these are easy. Karen K, Sub-Zero Pro 48, well-built. Is it a well-built quality refrigerator? Marketing gimmick? It's a Sub-Zero, no different than any other Sub-Zero they have. I love the draws. I love the heft. I love the look. Karen, you're paying for that heft and look. The draw control is awesome. I'm telling you, we sell a lot of them. We do like them. I am not going to tell you the compressor on a Pro 48 is any different than the non-Pro 48. It's the same. The air scrubbing of the vegetable draws are no different. The fact you have combination draws down below is different. But the guts, the core of the body, it's not a better or worse quality product than one or the other, but you're paying for the fit, feel, finish of Pro and some of the flexibility of those draws, but the guts, the core is no better. There was another question in here. Sorry, if we're going to run over, let's just answer a few of these. There was another question in here about a Gaggenau microwave. This is a good one. Karen, again, I'm considering a Gaggenau microwave. Should I go with a Combi Steam or Convection? Is Combi Steam worth the money? I love Steam. We love Steam. We love Combi Steam. And Gaggenau is the best. Really, your options in most cases. Everyone has steam ovens. People come back to a Miele or a Gaggenau, and a Gaggenau will dominate a Miele. It just does. It's a true cooking vessel. You can cook in it. Okay? Not to trash Miele. We love Miele, but it is a better product. Why Combi Steam is better than straight convection microwaves or convection oven or Combi convection oven. A combination steam oven injects steam. And we know anytime we cook food or reheat food, in the case of microwaves, more often than not, we're removing moisture from a food. A combination steam oven can heat food, cook food, but it can actually, when you're reheating, heat it and injects the moisture back into the food. So the food tastes just like you cooked it. So we love it. You know, Karen, you're looking at these things. There's a premium in price for that, but you're looking at the right product because it's more than just a look or a name there. You're getting features that you can do a ton with the combination Gaggenau Combi Steam Oven. We're a big fan. And we're a big fan of steam in general. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. The last thing I would say, some people will ask us, Fran, I'm doing a kitchen. Do I even need a microwave? I don't believe in microwave. I'm nervous.
Especially with the alternatives like steam.
And there's people out there talking about, is it cancerous? Could it be harmful? And, there's more awareness. And for some of those people, we would say, we have people, I think this, even if you don't use a microwave, put a microwave in at some level, because it may not matter to you, but this great kitchen you're designing, if you ever sell your house, and most of us can't say this is our forever home in most cases, if you ever go to resell it, someone coming in, 99% of everyone buys and wants a microwave, okay? Or expects one, okay, whether they use it or not, but it's an expectation. So don't do this great kitchen because you can live without it, because someone else may come in and kind of poo-poo the idea of the home and the kitchen because it doesn't have one. Second to that, I would say air fryers have become popular. Mm-hmm. Air fryers on the counter. We sell a great one by GE Cafe. Beautiful. They have all colors and matte white and golds and blacks and bronze. You can get it in 5 colors and finish and stainless. And it's so reasonably priced, fast, healthier cooking, crisper food. So there's a way to get around that. The final thing, and I'm going on this because Karen was talking about combination steam ovens. Absolutely, a steam oven can act in many ways like a microwave and actually be beneficial. The next final piece would be a warming drawer. Like for a lot of people, if you say, I reheat a lot of food, but I've had a convection microwave. I've ever had a regular microwave. I'm not happy with the way that it reheats my food. Warming drawers can be a way to keep food warm for up to 2.5 hours, the same state in which you cooked it. So if you have somebody that a lot of times is, I still have 3 children at home, and granted they're older, but when they're younger, I can remember you husband and wives or your partners, they pass in the night, you're dropping one off at this event and you got to shoot to the school or to work or whatever. So many times somebody's eating a cold meal because you're running an hour late behind somebody. A warming drawer can keep that food 2.5 hours, the state in which you cooked it. It's great for parties. It's great for a mixed plate of food. Drop it in there, keep it warm in a warming drawer. When friends come home later, you just have your food sitting there and it tastes great. So a warming drawer, if you don't love microwaves, if that's how we'd ask you those questions, are you using it for reheating within those times? So there are other ways. We just got to talk through the microwave. And this is why, Fran, I could talk about a microwave for an hour and a half.
I've noticed.
But this is what it's all about.
Yeah. Listen, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody more passionate than Dennis when it comes to microwaves. I promise you that. No, there's a lot of really great information. Like I said, there's so many different styles of microwaves, and we do get a lot of questions just from some of these, more simple categories that sometimes people tend to overlook. So I'm really glad we got to dive deep into that today.
Okay, great. And I'm not going to get into this one because it'll be too long. Someone said, can you squeeze in an episode on ice machines? Yes, we talk a lot about ice on this show. I can. We'll add it into another series. I'll just leave you with 2 things. You only want an ice machine with a pump. period. It has to have a
Yeah.
pump. Gravity-fed ice machines are not even an option. They should be stricken from the earth. They're the worst things ever. So pump ice makers give you clear ice, cleaner ice, filtered ice, far less service problems. You won't have water and leaks because they have auto shutoffs if anything ever happened. So I love pump ice machines. After that, you're just talking about the ice harvest, what the shape looks like, because that does matter when you're drinking. People are particular about a barrel cube, a dice cube, a crushed cube. And then finally, understand there's a bunch of maintenance, not hard, but routine. And that is the key to these things continuing to work. And I could go on, but I won't.
But we did about a month ago or so ago, we did an episode on all under-counter refrigeration, and we did dive deep into under-counter ice makers on that episode. So definitely go back and check that out. There'll be a lot of really good information there too. So we'll give you something there. And Dennis, thank you as always for bringing the passion. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all the participants here and all the great questions. It's obviously what keeps us going, so we really appreciate that. And thanks again for joining us for another episode of Appliance Advisers.
Fran, I will say this. We leave this week, okay? We leave this week. We're going down to we're going down to a convention down in Dallas, and we see a lot more of that next-gen, latest and greatest. We'll spend 3 or 4 days down there, and that's kind of exciting because COVID's kept us cooped up. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be impressed. We're pretty hard to impress. We'll give you the dirt. If we got some good stuff, we'll certainly share it.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you all next time. Thanks again.
Thanks, Fran. Take care, everyone.